Hi everyone, it's the Kilted Brewer, and today we're going to make a lemon berry wine. So the first thing we're going to add is we have lemon juice. Now this recipe, I'm going to do a 3-gallon batch today. The 3-gallon batch calls for, I'm going to double check here, 24 ounces of lemon juice. Okay, so we have 24 ounces of lemon juice that we're adding to our primary fermenter right here. Next thing that we're going to add is I'm going to top the water up, but yeah, you want to have about, I would say anywhere between 3 1/4 to 3.5 gallons in here of total liquid, just to make your life as easy as possible. Yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of your ingredients and stuff. You're going to use a little bit more than you need to, but it saves you a big headache later on down the road. Next, we're going to add 10 cups of sugar for this recipe. Now this is a 10-pound bag, so this is just regular granulated cane sugar. Cane sugar is about 2 cups a pound. So this is a 10-pound bag. I'm going to add about half of it in here to get to the gravity that I want. If you want to measure it all out, you can do the 10 cups, but for me, it's just as easy to dump what I think is about half, because we're actually going to measure this later. We're going to measure the gravity of the liquid, and that's what's important, not so much the volume of what you put in there. That's about right. It's not so much important about the volume of what you put in there, but it's about your final gravity of the liquid that you're using. Because if you have, I could measure out 10 cups in there and then I could go test the gravity. I don't have enough sugar. So just, you can kind of guess up front and then fix it all later. The next thing we're going to add is some wine tannin. So I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of this. You can add more or less depending on your tastes. It's just, when you taste tannin, once you know what tannin is, when you taste it, you know it. It's kind of it's not an alcohol taste, but it's just that kind of harsh taste that you get sometimes after you drink wine. It can have a lot of tannin in it. So a little bit of tannin though is going to help to balance out the flavors, balance out the fruit, and balance out the lemon notes. And actually, if you don't add it to this recipe, it can taste kind of flat. So it does add some character and some depth. You just want to be careful of how much you actually add in there. Okay, so then we're going to give it all a mix up. And then, like I said earlier, so now we're going to test it with the hydrometer, and we're going to see what gravity that we have that our liquid is at. So just grab your turkey baster, get some liquid up in there, and then you're going to put it in a test tube. With this recipe, what we're shooting for is a 1.075. Double check that, yeah, 1.075. And what that's going to do is, that's going to give you about 11% alcohol by the time it ferments out. So this recipe, what we're going to do is we're going to add some yeast tomorrow, and when we add that yeast, it's going to start eating up that sugar, and there's just about enough sugar in here to get us to about 11% alcohol. And then once we get done, we're actually going to stabilize it, and then we're going to add some more sugar on the back end once we get all the yeast out of it. So now what we're going to do, the next thing that we have to do with this is we're going to add our fruit. So this fruit, I actually took it out a couple hours ago, and what I did was I sprinkled a couple teaspoons of Pectic enzyme in here. Now, Pectic enzyme, basically what it's going to do is it breaks down the pectins in the fruit itself. You want to take a nylon bag and put it in here. This is just a triple berry blend. You can get it at just about any supermarket. Go ahead, dump it into your nylon bag, put some Pectic enzyme in there, and then we're going to tie this closed and we're going to throw it in the fermenter. Now the reason that you want to use a nylon bag for this is it can get really, really messy if you don't. You can throw the fruit directly in there, but you're going to end up with a lot of fruit and stuff floating in it at the end, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. When we throw this in here, we're just going to kind of work the Pectic enzyme through the fruit. It's still quite frozen. Usually I like to try and do it a couple hours before I start, just to let it thaw out a little bit. I forgot today, and I just took it out of the freezer about an hour ago, but give yourself 2-3 hours. It should be nice and soft. You should be able to work it through there, and I'll show you this in a second. But already, just This liquid was a pale yellow from the lemon juice in the water, but already it's turning a nice pink color just from putting this in here. And that's about it. Once it's all mixed in, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to let this sit for anywhere between 12 and 24 hours, and then we're going to pitch the yeast. So subscribe to the channel. About 12 hours, I'll be back. We'll pitch the yeast. We'll go ahead, we'll make up the starter. I'll show you how to do that. We'll pitch the yeast in here, and then we'll let it go.